At number 10 is Reid, who has the girl next door curse, also known as the hot girl curse. I mean, if I was gonna have a curse, I think I would want this one. She was once riding high, starring in the wildly successful movie series American Pie. Tara played a hot babe named Vicky and even made the cover of Rolling Stone magazine during that time, which basically just confirms that you are some hot in Hollywood. Get on that cover, magazine. You know you're doing well. Looking back on her career now though, she said she hoped that American Pie would be the springboard for her entire career, but instead it kind of dropped once the series was over. She was often looked at as the girl next door and only ever booked roles of that nature. It might not seem like a bad thing to us, being the hot girl in movies, but she admitted during an interview that no one ever respected her or took her very seriously. This pressure is also what caused her to get plastic surgery, which ended up making things worse. In 2004, she had a breast augmentation done, which left her with rippled skin all over her stomach. She spoke on it and said, "My stomach became the most ripply, bulgy thing. I had a hernia, this huge bump next to my belly button. As a result, I couldn't wear a bikini and I lost a lot of work." Since she could no longer book the hot girl role, she was pretty much out of work altogether.
Coming in at 9, Jerry O'Connell. Now this former icon is suffering from the show killer curse. In his early years, this star found fame when landing a role in the now iconic movie Stand By Me alongside River Phoenix, before landing a slew of successful TV shows. However, the actor sadly has a longer list of failed sitcoms than almost anybody else. Back in 1995, he starred in Sliders as Quinn Mallory for 5 seasons, and then went on to play a detective in Crossing Jordan for 6. However, after that, he hit a major streak of bad luck, which doesn't seem to have ended. It all began in 2008 with the show Do Not Disturb, before going on to work his way through 14 failed sitcoms in just 6 years. That's insane, where still almost all of these failed to get past the first season, including Rex Is Not Your Lawyer, Eastwick, and Satisfaction.
Swiping the number 8 spot is Orlando Brown, who lost his career to the Disney curse. It's no secret that people who have worked with Disney as a kid have sometimes gone off the deep end. Orlando Brown is one of them and has found himself in controversy ever since That's So Raven ended back in 2007. He was making serious headlines in 2018 after his mugshot started surfacing on the internet. He was actually arrested 3 different times in 1 year. The first time he was arrested in January was because of a battery charge, possession of a controlled substance, and resisting a police officer. He was later arrested in August because he missed one of his court dates from the first incident. Then, in September, surveillance cameras at a restaurant caught him trying to shut off their alarm system and change the locks of a restaurant because he was trying to steal the money from it. He is a hot mess. And we know he's not the only one who has gone through this curse, it just seems like he's the one who cannot break out of it.
Coming in at 7, Cuba Gooding Jr. Back in the 90s, Cuba Gooding Jr. was a hot commodity in Hollywood, starring in movies like Jerry Maguire, for which he nabbed himself an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. And then of course, A Few Good Men. However, he began to hit a few road bumps by appearing in a few controversial movies such as Pearl Harbor and then the god-awful movie Boat Trip, which was generally believed to have homophobic undertones. Bad move, Cuba. Both of these movies had a huge effect on his career, and sadly not even his charisma and showbiz personality could save it. The actor has somewhat appeared to be a one-hit wonder than the Hollywood icon everyone expected him to be after winning the Oscar. Sucks to be Cuba.
In spot number 6 is Adrian Brody, who's cursed by what's known as the Oscar curse. At one point in his career, he was being compared to Al Pacino, which is a pretty big deal. He became the youngest man in Hollywood to win an Oscar for Best Actor. He won the award in 2003 when he was just 29 years old. But in today's industry, a lot of people don't even recognize his name. That doesn't mean he hasn't had a successful career, because he has. He's also known for his leading role in the Academy Award winning movie The Pianist. It looked like his career was going to continue on that high. He was young, he was talented, and he already had an Academy Award under his belt. But a lot of people blame his future movie flops on the Oscar curse. He went on to be in movies like The Village and The Singing Detective, both of which were torn apart by critics. He's continued to book movie roles, but overall his career has been pretty patchy compared to when he was the next Al Pacino. It's almost like the Oscars set the bar too high for him, like too soon in his career.
Coming in at 5, Kristen Bell. Now you may be all a little annoyed at me that Kristen Bell is on our list. particularly Joss. But hear me out, Kristen is often labeled as Hollywood's sweetheart, ever since she hit it big on her sitcom Veronica Mars, which was sadly cancelled. She is a good actress, there's no denying that, but the films she picks leaves a lot to be desired. She appeared in train wreck movies like When in Rome, Pulse, Fanboys, and Burlesque, all box office flops that were severely panned by critics. Now, there was a movie spin-off of her hit series Veronica Mars, which was largely appreciated by critics, but flopped at the box office, proving that Belle can't really seem to catch a break in Hollywood these days. She did land everyone's dream role though when she appeared in Frozen as Anna, however, the kicker is, she never appeared on screen. It is simply her voice. Perhaps this is a loophole in the Hollywood curse.
At number 4, we have Christopher Reeve, who suffers from the Superman curse. This curse is believed to be so intense that it has ended multiple careers, not by being blacklisted, but by death. There has been an ongoing belief that there is a curse cast on every actor who takes on the role of the hero. It started with George Reeves, who took on the hero from 1951 to 1957. He was associated with the role so closely that it was almost impossible for him to land a successful role in anything else. He was found dead in 1959, just a few days before he was supposed to get married. It was reported to be a suicide, but a lot of controversy followed his death. Hence, the Superman curse. But a more modern Superman felt the curse as well, Christopher Reeves. He first took on the role in 1978, but in 1995 he was competitively horse riding when he was thrown off the horse and paralyzed. He was able to continue in a rehabilitation process, but died of heart failure in 2004. The death of the second Superman actor is what intensified the legend of this so-called Superman curse.
Coming in at number 3, Marlon Brando. Like our previous number, this is yet another actor who suffered from the Superman curse. That thing goes around. Marlon Brando is an indisputably acclaimed actor known for roles such as A Streetcar Named Desire, On the Waterfront, and of course The Godfather. However, back in 1978 he became a victim of the Superman curse after he appeared as Superman's father alongside Christopher Reeve. Following this, Brando had a tumultuous life, especially private life. His son was sent to prison for 10 years for murdering the boyfriend of his half-sister, and 5 years later that same sister, Brando's daughter, committed suicide. In the years that followed, the actor began to let himself go physically and eventually passed away from respiratory failure and heart failure in 2004, just 4 months before Christopher Reeve passed away.
Taking over the number 2 spot is Matthew Perry with the Friends curse. The same curse went around for the Seinfeld TV series. Apparently it means that those involved in a long-running sitcom can't seem to book successful roles outside of it. But that's not totally true, seeing as Jennifer Aniston, who worked on Friends, is one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. But Matthew Perry, also known as Chandler, didn't have as much luck when trying to break that curse. After the series finale in 2004, he returned to TV but had a very short-lived experience on the show Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. I've never even heard of it. Since then he has been able to book some jobs like the movie 17 again back in 2009 and the TV series Mr. Sunshine back in 2011. But his resume is pretty bare for someone who had such a successful career for 10 years straight. That's probably because people can't take him out of his role from Chandler. I mean, let's be real, he will always be Chandler Bing to me.
And finally, coming in at number 1, Halle Berry. Oh, Halle Berry. You guys know I'm not a fan of hers, which I also know angers a lot of you. Surprisingly so. Anyway, there's no denying that Halle is a good actress. She even made history in 2002 when she became the first African American woman to win an Oscar in the Best Actress category for her role in Monsters Ball. Her speech was of course unforgettable, going down in history as one of the best. Of course, following her epic win, the actress had her pick of all the movies. However, she fell into a rabbit hole of bad movies, including Gothika and Catwoman, for which she picked up a Razzie Award for Worst Actress. I mean, we all saw the basketball scene, she deserved it. Now, she has reprised her role as Storm in 3 X-Men movies, but at this point, we're over it. They rebooted X-Men. I'm only here for Sophie Turner and her crew, and that's the tea.
In at number 10, Jesse Luken. Glee actor Jesse Luken, who played the character of Bobby Boom Boom Surratt, was busted in 2018 for a DUI when he crashed his car. Local Glendale law enforcement told TMZ that they received calls of a car crash, and when they arrived on the scene found Luken's Toyota up on the curb with the airbags deployed. No other cars seemed to be involved in the crash, and his right front tire was absolutely mangled. Jesse reeked of booze and utterly failed his field sobriety test, which then led to probable cause to arrest him for driving under the influence. Jesse was part of the show for most of 2012, but just like his fellow co-stars, his life has been in turmoil since his departure from the show. I know these may seem like curses, but I think at the root this is more of a problem with Hollywood actors or Hollywood in general, and just allowing them to kind of do whatever they want. I'm sure we'll see more examples of that later on. In at number 9, Becca Tobin. Becca Tobin played the role of Kitty Wilde on Glee from 2012 to 2015, and although she seems to have made it out unscathed, her boyfriend was not so lucky. Her boyfriend was a nightclub owner named Matt Bendick, and unfortunately in 2014 he was found dead in a hotel room in Philadelphia. According to those close to the family, Becca and Matt were believed to have been on a business trip at the time of the tragedy. His family believes that he may have died from a heart attack amid the stress brought on by managing all of these businesses in his life. The eerie thing is that this happened 1 year after the death of Tobin's co-star Corey Monteith. According to TMZ, a hotel maid found Bendick's body at around 1 p.m. and law enforcement sources say that the housekeeper found the body on the bed face down. Bendick ran several major clubs around the country, but especially in Los Angeles, which is where he was the director of operations at the DBA nightclub. He also was a co-owner of AV nightclub, and according to his friends, he was not known as a partier. On Instagram, Becca posted a tribute to her boyfriend saying, "Thank you all for the love and support. Matt was the most extraordinary man I knew, and he will live in my heart forever." In at number 8, Jim Fuller. Jim Fuller was the assistant director of Glee and had been part of the crew for a long time. Out of the tragic endings that have befallen most of the Glee cast, Jim passed away due to natural causes. Jim was 41 at the time and passed in his sleep due to heart failure. In season 4 of the show, they actually did a tribute for him, and when Emma and Shu are having their wedding seat chat, a chair can actually be seen in the foreground with Jim's name on it. It was a nod to the longtime crew member who was loved by so many. To speculate on this Glee curse that everyone is obsessed with, I think it was more so the pressure of the show that caused a lot of terrible outcomes for all of those involved. Again, as I mentioned, Hollywood has a tendency of breaking even the strongest of people. Jim may have suffered from heart failure because of the stress of working on the show year after year. A heavy work schedule with long filming days for several years isn't the best way to keep your heart in a healthy state. In at number 7, Lea Michele. Something that adds to the pressure of filming is who you have to work with. If you're working in a toxic environment day after day and the person bullying you is the star, this can have some nasty outcomes. Lea Michele has been accused by several people for being an absolute nightmare to work with. Her co-star Matthew Morrison appeared via Zoom on Fubar Radio's Access All Areas and was asked about Lea's bullying, and he seemed to get visibly uncomfortable. He immediately attempted to downplay the accusations and shift topics by saying that bigger issues are going on in the world right now. He's not wrong, but this is also something we need to discuss. Here's a prime example of why the cast has had such a terrible time following the show. I think that whatever went on behind the scenes was kept hidden from the public. They play these cheerful high school kids, but in reality they were all adults with some demons. Now, with Matt not acknowledging the accusations made against Lea and covering for her, it only discredits what these people have kind of opened up to say about her. In at number 6, Samantha Ware. One of Lea Michele's accusers is Samantha Marie Ware, who appeared in the show in season 6 as the character Jane Hayward. The accusation was that Lea had participated in traumatic microaggressions that made her reconsider her career. This came to light when Lea Michele tweeted about Black Lives Matter following the death of George Floyd. Samantha replied to this tweet saying, "Remember when you made my first television gig a living hell? Cause I'll never forget. I believe you told everyone that if you had the opportunity you would in my wig," amongst other traumatic microaggressions that made me question a career in Hollywood. Lea Michele, who played the character Rachel Berry, apologized for her behavior towards Ware, but due to this tweet, Lea ended up losing her sponsorship with HelloFresh because of the accusations. Racial discrimination on set could be a very good reason this show might be cursed, at least culturally. In number 5, Amber Riley. Amber Riley, who played Mercedes Jones on the show, said that she received many notes from actors of color who had, let's say, less than perfect interactions on the set of Glee. While speaking on Instagram Live with journalist Danielle Young, they discussed racism while on set. In the video, Amber said, "In my inbox, there are a lot of black actors and actresses telling me their stories and letting me know they have dealt with the same things being on set, being terrorized by the white girls that are the leads of the show." I mean, that's gonna be traumatic. It's gonna cause some problems. In number 4, Nancy Moats. This one was really heartbreaking, and it came a year after Monteith and Jim Fuller had just passed. Nancy was not only the sister of Julia Roberts, but she also worked as a production assistant on Glee. At the age of 37, she died after drowning in a bathtub, though. Police reported that there were prescription and non-prescription pills where she was, and a suicide note was found as well. She claimed in her final note that Julia Roberts specifically had been so cruel to her that she drove her into the deepest depression she had ever ever been in. Following the death of Nancy and Jim, fellow production assistant Christina Legman spoke to the Daily Mail about the concern of Glee being cursed. Christina said, "She was such a good friend to me, it's just shocking. Yes, she had her own little struggles, but when we got together, we just bonded and she never let them get to her. It's such a shock. What with Corey passing last year, then we had a crew member, Jim Fuller, die, now we've got this hit and it's almost too much. Glee was like a family. We spent 12 hours a day together. We would refer to each other as the Glee family." And at number 3, Corey Monteith. In 2013, Michelle's on-screen and real-life boyfriend Corey Monteith died at age 31 from an accidental drug and alcohol overdose. The actor who played Finn Hudson was open about his struggles with addiction before his death. The British Columbia Coroner's Service said investigators found a spoon with drug residue and a used hypodermic needle in the hotel room where his body was found. The coroner Claire Thompson said in a report that she would classify his death as accidental, adding that Mr. Monteith was found in a collapsed position on the hotel room floor and appeared to have been dead for several hours. Corey's death was also written into the show that year in an episode called The Quarterback, though they never revealed how his character died in the show, although you could see the pain in everyone's face as they did their very best to honor his memory. His mother Anne McGregor spoke about her son's death to People magazine and explained that she took her son to rehab at ages like 15 and 19, even saying that his curiosity led him into a dark world that would further consume him. According to his mother, he also began using drugs after landing his role on Glee. In her opinion, he wasn't ready for the Hollywood world and drugs were his way of checking out. In at number 2, Mark Salling. Mark was cast in the TV show Glee in 2008, playing American football star Noah Puck Puckerman. During his 6 seasons for the show, his performances led to Salling being nominated for a Teen Choice Award for Male Breakout Star. After police were reportedly tipped off by one of the star's ex-girlfriends, he was arrested on December 29, 2015, but wasn't charged with receiving and possessing child pornography until May 27, 2016. On January 30th, TMZ reported that Salling had taken his own life just weeks before he was due to be jailed over these charges. His lawyer would later confirm the death of the actor, who was found dead in a field close to where he lived. The haunting part about this is that people are pointing to an episode of the show where this very thing was predicted. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Naya Rivera. Naya Rivera played the character of cheerleader Santana Lopez in 113 episodes of the hit musical show. In November 2017, though, she was arrested for domestic battery, and the 31-year-old's then husband, actor Ryan Dorsey, told the deputy that she struck him in the head and face. The couple were reportedly arguing over their son, but the charges were then dropped in January of 2018 after Dorsey decided not to seek prosecution. The couple finalized their divorce in June 2018 after nearly 4 years of marriage. As I say this, though, we are deeply saddened to learn that she has gone missing after her son was found alone in a pontoon boat on Lake Pyro. They are assuming that she had drowned, but the Ventura County Sheriff's Office has regularly been posting updates saying that they will continue to search for her. Following the 911 call, they tweeted, "Multiple teams of professional search and rescue personnel are actively searching Lake Pyro for clues to the location of Naya Rivera. With over 80 people involved in the search right now, we are using helicopters, boats, ATV vehicles, and ground personnel to try and locate her. Hopefully she will be found soon so that her family can at least be at peace." I mean, the tragedies that have befallen in the cast of Glee have come from all angles, and I hope I didn't offend anyone by speculating that the show may be cursed because of these accidents. I mean, they're certainly all tragic, and again, with Naya Rivera, we just wish the best to her family.
And at number 10, the Glee Curse. The most well-known curse among millennials is probably the Glee Curse, and this is based off of the hit show Glee that ran from 2009 to 2015 and launched massive stars like Lea Michele and Darren Criss. However, after the show ended, many members of the cast were involved in very tragic circumstances. Many even passed away. The curse began after Corey Monteith, who played Finn Hudson, was found dead from an OD in 2013. Then in 2018, Mark Salling, who played Noah Puckerman, took his own life. This was because he was on trial for possession of disgusting and illegal content. And most recently, Naya Rivera went missing and then was pronounced dead after she drowned in a California lake while she was out with her son Josie. Thankfully, her son was unharmed. And in an even more tragic coincidence, her body was discovered on the 7th anniversary of Corey Monteith's death. And at number 9, Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell is an incredibly successful actress and is loved by pretty much everyone. However, people think that she might be cursed because the roles where she's been the most successful are the ones where she's not on camera. Kristen has been involved in some of the most successful projects ever, like Gossip Girl and Frozen. But like I said, both of these roles were voice acting roles. And the projects that she's actually starred in usually flop, like When in Rome, Pulse, Fanboys and Burlesque were all box office flops, and her TV series Veronica Mars was also cancelled very early on. However, she's having much better luck with the show The Good Place. However, it seems like even though she's a huge star, her box office performance is usually lackluster. And at number 8, the 27 Club. The 27 Club is a group of musicians that people believe are cursed because they all died of very tragic causes at the age of 27. The first member of the 27 Club was Brian Jones. The Rolling Stones guitarist was found dead in his pool in 1969. Next was Jimi Hendrix, who died from choking on his own throw-up during a binge in 1970. A month later, singer Janis Joplin died of an OD. Then, less than a year later, Jim Morrison, the lead singer of The Doors, was found dead in a bathtub in Paris from heart failure. And even though those deaths could be chalked up to all the partying that these stars did at that time, the members of this club continued to mount. And many years later, musicians like Kurt Cobain took his own life at the age of 27, with his sister even claiming that he talked about joining the 27 Club before. As well, singer Amy Winehouse died in 2011 from an OD, adding her name to the ever-growing list. And at number 7, Adrien Brody. Adrien Brody became a household name after he became the youngest man to win an Oscar for Best Actor when he won for his role in The Pianist in 2003. At this time, everyone was convinced that he was going to be the next big thing in Hollywood, and comparing him to other legendary actors like Al Pacino and Leonardo DiCaprio. However, his star seemed to burn out almost as fast, and after The Pianist, he made some near career-ending choices with his movie roles, including The Village and The Singing Detective. Both of the movies were bashed by the critics. After those films, he has never achieved the same level of success, and his acting work is few and far between. Some think his huge success in the beginning of his career caused him to be cursed, either by his own decisions or fate. And at number 6, Playboy Centerfolds. If you're too young to know what a Playboy Centerfold is, back in the day when the magazine was huge, one woman would be the centerfold each month, and it was a very high honor. But people have noticed a very scary trend with the centerfolds, and think that becoming one is actually a curse. According to the richest, 16 Playboy Centerfolds have all passed away under the age of 50. There have been a number of causes, including ODs, car accidents, and instances of people taking their own lives or even being killed. Many think there's a connection between Playboy and the untimely death of Anna Nicole Smith. However, many think this is a ridiculous theory, as there have been hundreds of centerfolds without any issues. Former Playboy editor Gretchen Ertegren said in her book that she believes the untimely deaths of these centerfolds are more so due to their party-heavy lifestyle and not a curse. Halfway at number 5, The Passion of the Christ. The controversial film The Passion of the Christ might have actually been cursed. This is because multiple members of the cast and crew were struck by lightning while filming. And to give more context on this, in the US, in any one year, the odds of getting struck by lightning is 1 in 700,000. While filming the scene of the Sermon on the Mount, leading actor Jim Caviezel was struck by lightning, and immediately afterward, so was assistant director Jen McElhaney. It was actually the second time that McElhaney had been struck by lightning on the set. The movie ended up doing incredibly well once it was finished and got nominated for 3 Oscars. But 3 people getting struck with lightning is definitely a little worrisome. And at number 4, Poltergeist. The 80s horror flick Poltergeist has been rumored to have been cursed. This is because 2 of the actors who were involved in the film had untimely deaths. 22-year-old actress Dominique Dunne was killed shortly after it came out in 1982, and the star of the film, Heather O'Rourke, died due to a misdiagnosed intestinal issue. But that's not all. 2 cast members also passed away shortly after the film as well. One claim that fueled these haunted rumors even more was the claim that real skeletons were used as props in the film instead of fake ones, although that claim has not been verified whatsoever. And all this definitely makes the movie a lot creepier to watch. And at number 3, The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone was a show about horror and science fiction, loved by many, but many think that the film adaptation of the show was definitely cursed. This is because multiple actors that were working on the film passed away in the midst of filming. All of these actors were killed in a helicopter crash. The actors were Vic Morrow, as well as 2 actors, Renee Chen and Maya Ding Lee. The director of the film, John Landis, was charged with involuntary manslaughter after the deaths, adding even more horror to the incident. However, he was later found innocent. But of course, a tragedy like that completely changed the tone of the project and made the rest of the actors on the film fear for their safety. And at number 2, The Oscars Curse. Have you ever noticed that a lot of actors who won Academy Awards end up with incredibly lackluster careers after their win? Well, it's such a common thing that it has spurred what's called the Oscars Curse. It says that celebrities who win an Academy Award end up dropping in popularity and receive fewer jobs in the industry after. And there are tons of names on this list, like Halle Berry, Gwyneth Paltrow, Nicolas Cage, and Charlize Theron. The other variation of this curse is that actresses who win Oscars, particularly for Best Actress, will later have trouble in their love lives, and their partners will cheat on them or even divorce them. And finally, at number 1, the Terminator Curse. Another film series that is rumored to be cursed is the Terminator franchise. It started when Terminator 3 star Nick Stahl was admitted to hospital and placed on an involuntary 5150 psychiatric hold. Then around the same time, the Terminator 2 star Edward Furlong was admitted to rehab for substance issues. These issues apparently started when he began filming Terminator 2. Another part of the curse is Christian Bale's disturbing behavior on the set of Terminator Salvation. And if you don't remember this, it got exposed that after a crew member ruined a take, the actor went off on a loud and scary rant, swearing excessively. This rant not only drastically changed public opinion of him, but it caused a decline in his career as well. He later apologized, saying, quote, "I was out of order beyond belief." Finally, original star Arnold Schwarzenegger has had a lot of issues exposed in his personal life, although not actually linked to the franchise.